Have you seen the discourse around the live action Lilo and Stitch movie about how they like removed all the, subtext, or not even subtext, but like plot elements about colonialism and the exploitation of Hawaiian natives and so on and so forth? Can we stop live actioning? At what point do we arrive at the conclusion that the problem is just the viewers? I'm fitting this neatly in my mind in the category of like, civilization is over, because people are always like, slop movies existed back in the 80s, and like, not like this. They didn't. Not like this. There's a difference between like dumb, fun action movies, pushed out by smaller productions with smaller budgets, and like gigantic mega AAA blockbuster studio movies that are meant to not only make money, but launder and replace cultural memories of a vastly superior product. There is a difference. 93% popcorn meter. Damn. I blame the executives. I blame the viewers. I'm coming back around. I'm rolling it back around. I don't know. Maybe this is what we deserve. Yeah, you don't hate the general audience enough. We need to, this for me, it's like the literacy thing, okay? We need to start gatekeeping and girl bossing harder than ever before. Okay? Like, for instance, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, and I'm going to hit you with it. You're not going to be happy with me, because this is a take that just people are going to be, it's not intended to make friends, okay? Why the are people mixing up your, and your? I've never made that mistake. Not since I was like, I don't know, 2, unless it was just a typo, like I mistyped. How are people that up? Look, if you're ESL, I get it. I'm not hitting you. If you learn English as a second language or whatever, like, come on, you're not the target here. Yeah, there, and there as well. We need to start mocking people for being illiterate more. Didn't we just talk about how illiterate the American population is? Yeah, but like, the recent discourse has reframed my perception of that mistake that I see. I used to think it was just people didn't care that much, or they were being thoughtless, but now I feel like if you held a gun to the head of the people making the mistakes on their posts to that effect, like, they would not actually know which one is which. People actually don't know, which is troubling. I don't know. But prescriptivism? Yeah, maybe like a level of prescriptivism is necessary to not let standards slip. But there's a difference between prescriptivism to maintain cultural hegemony and prescriptivism to maintain like literacy, okay? I don't give a fuck about like the normalization of AAVE or whatever, because that shit's language. Whatever. Like, if you're being prescriptivist and you're like, oh, it's not ax, it's ask, I think you're just being racist. Because when they say ax, they mean ask. It's just a different way of saying the same word, That's not a mistake. That's just a different way of saying it, But if you're up your, and your, that's not AAVE. You're just stupid. Where does ax as ask come from? I don't know. I don't know the taxonomy of all. I don't know where it all comes from. All right, you guys, you should stop using it, okay? What's the third your, and your, Forger from Spy Family, dipshit. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. The world's ending, basically. The new Lilo and Stitch has already made like $400 million, more than the original. Of course, the original, benefited, it's like VHS tapes, right? It's proliferated a bunch, not just through its theatrical release, but, Jesus Christ, look at that. More than doubling the last Mission Impossible film. Why do people like live action more than animation? It's complicated, but I think it's more just like a lowering of standards. I don't really know. You know what I noticed? And by I noticed, I mean I saw somebody tweet it like a month ago, and I agree with them. Why is it that like over the past, I would say like 10 or 15 years, cartoons made for children, I feel, and I'm basing this off the fact the last like cartoon for children that I watched, I guess, would have been like, I don't know, Adventure Time. I'm a ardent Steven Universe defender. I don't know how much more recent there is than that. But the Owl House, I guess, though, what was I saying? Oh yeah, they don't make like references to older popular culture anymore. All the references are to modern popular culture now, but they won't make like weird Moby Dick illusions. You know what I mean? Like it feels like there's a lot less, because I remember back when I was a kid, there were a lot of cartoon bits that just kind of like obliquely referred to just random historical shit because the writers were being goofy with it. And I picked up a lot of information like through osmosis that way, you know? Maybe that still happens. Maybe I just don't see it. I don't know. Oh, I've seen some Craig of the Creek. Craig of the Creek's good. That's a good-ass show. They also just didn't read those books, as we learned extensively this week. Yeah. We are older, though. People aren't going to reference Moby Dick forever. Don't you think that's a little weird? Like, that Moby Dick is like a... Like, in your head, you think Moby Dick is like a cornerstone of, yeah, like classic literature for over 100 years. And then just like over 10 years, people stop caring. People still talk about Shakespeare. How many classic books have come out in the past, like, couple decades that you can think of? Not Harry Potter. I mean, like, good books. House of Leaves. Isn't House of Leaves from, like, the late 1990s or early 2000s? I guess that counts, yeah. A Song of Ice and Fire. I haven't read it, I can't really say. Published 2000? Okay, 2000. The Witcher books are incredible. They're good, but Lord of the Rings? That's... I said the past couple decades, man. How much do you read? I'm illiterate. That's why I'm asking you guys. I'm not sitting here telling you what the classics are. I'm asking you. Stephen King's novels, I would say. Maybe. I wonder how well Stephen King's novels are going to be remembered, like, by history, you know? Sometimes the classics, I mean, it's what survives the test of time, right? Surely some of them will. I think It and The Shining will stand the test of time. Maybe The Shining. The only thing I've heard from people who have read it is like, hey, did you know it's really weird to read? That's the only thing I've gotten from it. I feel like that discourse might overtake, like it doesn't hold up. I've heard The Shining is very good. Can't wait for kids' cartoons in 50 years to reference Homestuck. Well, you know what? Credit where credit's due, okay? People who grew up reading Homestuck are probably way the more literate than people who just grew up, like, browsing Instagram reels. You gotta know how to read Homestuck, if nothing else. Makes you annoying, but at least you're literate and annoying. What's Homestuck? Don't worry about it. 341 million in a weekend. Jesus Christ. Handmaid's Tale will probably be a cornerstone for a while. Yeah, probably. What's the point I was getting at? I don't know. I feel like we should be a lot more mean to people if they're stupid. It's I don't know. Remember how, and this used to happen more often than it does now. Remember how when I would argue with people over whether or not I can say retarded, which I argue I can because I want to, I said ableism is a different kind of bigotry than other kinds of bigotries, because if you're racist, there is objectively no value difference between being black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. Whereas with regard to ableism, you are being discriminatory, you're being prejudiced along lines that are as close to objectively preferable as can be, right? Like, if you're being ableist towards a person with lesser abilities, they, like, definitionally you're describing something that's worse than having the abilities that they don't have, at least in the context of having or not having it. The difference being, of course, that, like, if you're being ableist to a person who's, like, in a wheelchair, like, what are you doing? I don't really get the point of that. Like, they can't walk. Okay, well, you can't roll? I don't get it. I mean, it's true, it's better having working legs, but I guess I don't really understand, like, the social necessity of that behavior. Or, like, if a person is Down syndrome or something, like, okay, so you can be mean to a person with Down syndrome. I just don't get why, you know? But being mean to people for being illiterate, I can sink my teeth into that, because your ass can do something about that. I don't really believe... You're not a medieval peasant, okay? It's not like you have no access to reading. Like, this is a skill issue for the vast majority of people. Because I do believe that even the most hapless, illiterate midwit is a few months of curious self-exploration away from being learned. I do believe that. Okay, but then that's not ableism. No, it is. You're definitionally being prejudiced against a person for a lack of ability. That is ableism, you know? I feel like, I don't know, we got to step that shit up, because it feels like we're being mean to people for every reason except for the right one. You're being mean to people because they're trans? Why? You're being mean to people because they're black? Why? You're being mean to people because they're, I don't know, they take it up the ass? Why? I don't get it. We need to be mean to people because they don't read, you know? I just died in Noida. That's rough. You don't read, you moron? Yeah, and you're all mean to me. So if anything, you're kind of like a testament to the value of my argument. I think we should just say ableism means bigotry against someone who has a disability, not just disparaging somebody's ability. Yeah, but everyone who lacks an ability thinks that the reason they don't have that ability is because of a disability. Have you ever talked to a lazy person? Everybody who can't read is like, oh, well, can't, fish died, cat died, dog died. God forbid you disagree with a white bitch, or they have ADHD, the ASD, PTSD. You know, you can't. You can't draw that line, right? You have to just say like, well, no, read, you lazy. Yeah, and they're non-binary. How would you encourage growth without encouraging elitism? I think that we should be more elitist about being able to read. Honestly, I think that we just need to like be really. I think we need to go back to gatekeeping a little bit, to be honest with you. It seems like one of the reasons we're in the pit that we're in is because there's absolutely no social value to knowing things anymore. You know what I mean? There's no like incentive. But people used to value it for its own sake. Like a while ago, maybe, and in some place. Basically, I'm doing the Vivek Ramaswamy speech on Twitter before he got ousted from the GOP. I'm doing that, but like unironically, you know? It used to be useful to know things. It still is, man. Look, dude, I was talking about how credit cards work on stream a few months ago, and there were a lot of people in chat who were genuinely dumbfounded. How can you tell me a little bit of financial literacy goes a long way? Like, how can you tell me there's no value in knowing these things? There is. A lot of people just don't like. They just don't know. No one cares to know. No one engages with it. You know? I don't know. There's all the info in the world. You can do so much stuff. Okay, what about people who are unhealthy, overweight / fat? I don't really give a shit. I only care if they're like annoying or in my way, like while I'm walking. It's not really a big deal. Meanwhile, widespread illiteracy is destroying the country, right? I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you. Yeah, if you're fat and you can read, then good for you. Okay? Prop that book up on your tits. Get some paragraphs out, all right? Do something. At least you're working your mind out. You people have fat brains. No exercise. I work at a bank. It's insane how many people don't understand how a credit card works. Yeah. You should finish House of Leaves. I keep trying to pick it up, and honestly, I'm just so out of the loop with regard to, like, reading. I went to an estate sale the other day, and I picked up, on a whim, I picked up The Shuttered Room, because I thought maybe I need to like take a step in, like I need to like dip my toe in, because House of Leaves, yeah, Thana, not to talk myself up, House of Leaves, it's not the easiest book in the world to read, right? So I thought, you know, some light reading to start, and Lovecraft isn't hard reading. Lovecraft and August Derleth, you know, I don't know, I saw it. It's really simply they force you to read in grade school. It makes kids hate it to do it in their free time. I don't know if it's that, to be honest with you. How much are people even forced to read these days? Because, like, when I was in school, we had, like, a book report a semester, maybe? And you have only one English class. So, like, a book every 5 months?